Hey, first grade team. I hope that you enjoy the lesson that you're about to see, or that you have saw, whichever one you watch first. But I just wanted to give a little debrief of what I did in the sense of my planning thoughts. So, I have the copy of Listen and Learn. And so in this, I am pretty much using the focus question that they have put out for the focus of reading today. Sometimes I will look at the focus question and say, okay, is that the best focus question for kids? Does it address the standard? 9 times out of 10 it's going to be yes, but this is something that you as a grade level can discuss if that's what you want to really focus on is, the wording of the focus question, or is it a good focus question for what the material covers, this, that, or the other. So as I was going through, I went through and noticed that, I think I'm going to use a graphic organizer today that is picture oriented, because we're kind of looking at a timeline, but we're also looking at comparing the Soviet Union and the United States kind of back and forth. And so I kind of made a pictured timeline, not really a timeline, but kind of like going through time. But the kids were going to draw pictures, and under each box, we were going to label it, whether it was the United States or whether it was the Soviet Union. And so when I went through the text that you're reading, I kind of went through and made notes so that I knew, okay, I'm going to stop here and fill in the first box with the kids. I'm going to stop here and fill in the second box with the kids. So that kind of kept me on pace as far as when to stop and when to keep going. Because what I don't believe we want to do is we don't want to read all this text for first graders and then try to ask them some questions, right? Because we don't do that when we're reading. We think about chunks and we put it into chunks and we stop and we think about what we've read and, the whole process of synthesizing knowledge and summarizing knowledge and all of that. So I kind of went through and just marked where I was going to stop. There's some places I may not have stopped to talk with the kids about any kind of questions because it really wasn't pertinent to what I wanted them to comprehend today. So you saw in the video that we started out going over our focus question, and this is just a Microsoft Word document that I made. It could be hand-drawn, it could be whatever, depending on where your kids are at the point in the year. I put the focus question at the top. You'll see that we started by reading through the focus question. I inserted a couple little parentheses sections. The first one I put tell about, because you want to take those bigger words like describe, and I want to break it down to, okay, well, put this in first grade language. So describe means to tell about, right? Not just one thing, but to tell multiple things, to describe something. And so you'll see how we went through and we stopped each time. We started with, this is a kid's paper, Kaylee's paper, and she's got her drawing that I modeled. She's got the thing labeled for each country. So as the kid goes back, here's Gabriella's. And I'm thinking Gabriella, but this is not right. I should not say that she's just an ESL. She's ESL because I don't know that. But if we had an ESL kid, the pictures are a very good thing for them to use pictures and not necessarily use words. Another one. And so as you'll see through the lesson, when we got to the back, I walked them through how to write their sentences in the sense of how to describe what happened between the Soviet Union and Russia in respects to the space race. And so what you'll see is a lot of the first and second sentence, I pretty much walked them through and showed them on did it myself instead of really letting them do a lot of independency. By the time I got to about the third sentence, I kind of started it and let them help me fill it in. And then I think when I got to the very last one, you'll see that I kind of took different kids and said, well, what would you put there? And what would you put there? So pretty much scaffolding and building them up to doing something independent. So what you will notice, the highlight of the lesson, is that I got one of the facts incorrect. So I gave inaccurate content knowledge when it came to who sent the first astronaut into space. Look at my face. it's not the end of the world. Because I gave wrong content knowledge that can easily be cleared up in the lesson tomorrow. The practice of how I still had them thinking the question through, thinking the process through, I don't see anything wrong with that. So this is one of those instances where, did I give the one little wrong fact out of order? Because what you'll notice is when we wrote, I said that the Soviet Union sent the first astronaut into space. Now, that's not what I had over here, but that's what I had here. And so what you'll notice is, of course, I'm not going to break down during a lesson in front of the children. I even had adults in there, Miss Weeks and Miss Pravinsky, who tried to tell me I was doing the wrong fact, and I was just so sure and kept it going. But guess what? It is not the end of the world, because it was one content fact that was wrong. And I'm okay with that. It happens. So I want to show you just a few more before I talk about the last one. Oh, well, let me say this. So when you got down to the bottom, there was a question, and it basically said astronauts must wear a special hat or helmet and a special suit or jacket to travel into space safely. So there you'll see that I guided them through which word made it correct. Now let me tell you why I did that. So when I looked at my standards, the standard that I was pretty much focusing on today was RI 1.3, which talked about describing a connection between two individual events, ideas, or pieces of information. So that's what the whole lesson was about. But I decided to throw one in to do standard 1.1, which says ask and answer questions about key details. So in that is a question about two key details, okay? What I did was take it from, well, what did astronauts wear, into making it a statement for them to find the correct answer. So that's where you saw the challenge question. Kids got to get up, do something a little different. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you about, so if we look at, let's just pull a couple samples. We look at Fiona's. So Fiona's drawings look great. Her writing looks pretty good for a first grade kid. And she got her questions correctly. Ayla, beautiful pictures, beautiful writing. And you see she got done before everybody else, so that's why she got to go back and do some coloring. But we didn't focus on coloring in the front end because that's not what's important. Julia. But now look at her sentence. That's as far as she got. One that I definitely wanted to show you was, this is another kid. So he was with me, kinda, sorta. Didn't get his words on there. Kinda got the pictures correct. But now let's look at the back. Now, what's interesting here is if you go down to the bottom, he did this one completely independently by himself. So as I'm thinking about my kids, what it says about this kid is he comprehended, especially the oral comprehension, because he didn't have to read it. He comprehended, but with his writing, the output is probably low and not where he needs to be. So this is a kid that maybe I'm going to accommodate with, filling some of this in for him when I give him the graphic organizer. Maybe giving him less boxes to put in, maybe giving him one where every other box is already filled out with him. But that's a kid that I'm gonna definitely accommodate, but I can tell that he's got some good comprehension from that one question. And the more you do something like this, you'll see if they're comprehending completely, but they can't get the writing out, well, this is a writing issue, not a comprehension issue. But if you'll look at most of the children, I would say probably about 80% of the kids were exactly with me. And so for those of you that follow the zones of not proximal development, but the RTI triangle thing, if you can hit 80% of the kids got it, then you're doing good. So that's about all I got for you in the process. I hope that you enjoyed the lesson today. I had a ball teaching it, even though my astronaut looks about crazy. Okay? That's my astronaut. He looks about crazy, but it happens. Thank y'all. Appreciate you.